I love using sometimes traditional lighteners, but this one really has the power. Check it out. It lifts 8 levels, and it's also a clay. And a lot of times I don't like using clay because I feel like it doesn't lift fast enough. But it's got a really cool consistency, and it also has this kaolin clay in it that stays moist so it doesn't dry out. So it's really, really good. I'm really, really into it right now. But consistency is super key for me when I'm doing balayage, and I love doing foliage and foils and stuff, but really my heart, for some reason, I've always loved painting on the hair. And I'm sure if you guys follow me, you see that I do a lot of painting on social media because that's what I really do behind the chair. But having the right lightener and the right consistency is really key for me. And I kind of like Cool Whip, I guess, is what I would call it. When I do international, nobody knows what Cool Whip is, but we're in the States, so you guys know what Cool Whip is, right? It's just enough for me that it doesn't bleed. If you're new to balayage, I definitely suggest, cotton's great, plastic's great, mesh, whatever you need. I actually don't use anything, but it's 29 years now that I've been a licensed cosmetologist. Certain hair types, I'll get into that later, I may, but I prefer to really, can you see that? It's pink. So it's got a really great consistency for me, and it's super easy to mix. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to try to show you guys in this limited time 4 different of my signature techniques that I do behind the chair every day. So I'm going to get started on my model. I'm going to start with 2-point balayage, and that's just my most requested one, the one that I do the most. And I'm going to do 1 piece for you, and then I'm going to pass it over to Philip because I know he's dying to get into his shag for y'all, and I know that you're dying to see it as well. So can you see me, sir? All right. So for my 2-pointed balayage, I always keep a clean brush as much as possible. I try to keep a clean towel. The main mistake I see people make that are new is transfer. So you want to try to keep your brush clean at all times. So for 2-point, I carve out my 2 sections. And I really try to keep this like a pen. Keep my lightener on the tip of my brush. And once I have it mapped out, I'll come back, and that's when I start doing my middle. And it's pretty, for me, it used to take me forever. It used to take me an hour and a half probably to do it. I can paint a full head sometimes in about 30 minutes. But like I said, it's been many years. So I'm going to keep going with my 2-pointed balayage here on my mannequin, and then when I come back, I'm going to show you another technique. In the meantime, I'm going to pass it over to my brother Philip and see what he's doing over there with that cut. What's going on, Philip?
All right, thank you, Alfie. Thank you, brother. First of all, how awesome is it that we're live? Oh my God, like I still can't believe it. Okay, so one of the most important things with shags, it's not necessary, but there's different ways you can go about it, which is the curtain bang or the curtain fringe that we call it. And that's sort of the first thing you see. You go through feeds and you go through the Explore page and you're seeing a bunch of these shags. That's kind of what steps out a lot, right? Aside from a lot of layering. So I'm going to show you one way that I like to do it. And so as you can see here, I just made a triangular section right here. Now, with this, I do like to go fairly deep in. So what I do is I start right at the hairline, and I do the 1, 2, 3 method. So I lay the comb flat right at the hairline. So I go 1, 2, 3, and right where the 3 is where I know how deep I can go, right? And then I'll just go based on their hairline, just sort of to the high recession. You can always go a little bit further in if you don't want the wing to kind of go too far out. You adjust it as you wish, but I usually go roughly around the high recession. So now this is what I do. We look at facial features, right? So we want to say, okay, well, what do we want to help bring out here? In my opinion, this tends to be a win a lot of the time, which is exposing the upper cheekbone area, really bringing some of that into it. Maybe some people are like, oh, you know what? I don't want, the fringy like a full bang. Fine. Then you can just go with a nice swoop. But for those who want to go a little extra, you can always do the micro bangs in the middle or even a softer one. So we'll show you how to do that as well. So what I do is I split it in the middle, and then I go in and I say, well, where would it hit if I just do a swoop like this? Right there. So if you want to be a little conservative, not too much tension, kind of create a C curvature there. We're not doing this business. That's a little bit too much. Just like that, and we can say, okay, that's about where I want it. Remember, we can always cut more off. We can't put it back on. So I'm going to go from here, then I go in the middle. And I like to do this. I just direct down, pinch it in the middle like this. And, maybe 10 degrees off the face. We're not elevating too crazy here. And then, you know, if you want to double check, double check. So around the lip to nose area, and then I'm just going to point cut this out to create my length. And then from there, I will then start layering. So let's get rid of the length. This is always sort of the first shocker for the client to see. And there we have it. Now, I'm going to use here my onyx comb here, which is great. I just swoop over. We're going to go middle or slightly off center, but you can always adjust it to your liking or to the client's liking. And again, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go with the same 1, 2, 3 plane and start diagonal forward section or diagonal back sections, and I'm going to layer these. So I take my first one, and then I'm going to step on this side so you can see here. Now, how do I create something where this thing, once I comb it down, it'll swoop on its own? Right now it's one length. We just cut it, so it's just kind of falling like that. So what I'm going to do here, elevate it up off the head here and towards the middle, towards the center part right here like this. And you're going to see weight. So right here, the bottom, that is my length. Above it right here is the weight. So we simply cut that out very smoothly, very simple. I'm doing it bluntly. It's fine because once you drop it, boom, it just naturally kicks over like that. It works every time. Now, all I'm going to do here is do the second one, the third one, and keep bringing it to the original one. And that way, you will have a nice swoop on the one side. So I'll just do this, and so you can see the result. And then we can see where Alfie's at. But right here, lift up again, follow the guide. You can see the guide underneath here. Now, if you want to point cut it, that's fine too. But I'm doing it, well, see, look at that. Just a nice swoop over. You know, not even texturized yet, and this is the beauty of it. And how does this happen? We're following the head shape here, and this is why. The head shape basically does it for you. It's just all you're doing is elevating it to a certain point. So here we go. Let's do this last one. There you go. All we're doing is removing weight. Remember, we have our length there. And where does it fall? Right there at the cheekbone, like I wanted it. And there we have it. Yeah. What do you think? All right.
Gorgeous. So as you guys see right here, I've been doing my bricklay technique. Normally when I do the two-pointed balayage, obviously these parts that I'm not touching, that's where you're gonna get your dimension. This technique's really great if you love doing who loves color melts? This is great for balayage and color melt. But I usually do a bricklay, so the points of my two-point balayage, when I go to my next section, the openings where I have that dimension is where my points for the next section go. So I usually do a bricklay technique, and then when I get to the top, I'll usually go straight back unless my client's really wearing her hair a certain way.
I wanted to show you all the difference because I'm a fan of creating lean parts of the haircut. This is what I mean by that. So for example, we have this swoop going, the curtain fringe, as we call it. But if you take a look here at the difference, you see I texturize this side, and you can see the leanness. It just goes over. It's very soft. No matter how messy it gets or whatever, it's going to fall into place. It's going to look great. This side, the shape is there, but the weight is a lot. And you can actually see a big difference there. And also, it's sort of an aesthetic choice. So if you feel like, oh, the client, you know, the heavier, it's better, let's keep it that way, awesome. And if not, then it's time to texture. And this is one of the ways I like to. Because we created a strong shape, the shape's there, now what we want to do is accentuate the softness and, like I said, lean it out a little bit. So what I do is I take the whole entire thing, and you can subsection if you like, it's fine. And now, I know there's a lot of debate about this, but you can use your regular shears, you can deep point cut. There's many ways to go about it. There's no right or wrong in my opinion. I prefer using a 20% texture shear. It just basically means each snip is 20%, so it's not a lot. It just allows you enough to keep the outside shape and the silhouette, but really take out weight in a seamless way. So for here, I just cut parallel, take out. Luckily, these here allow, even if I go this way, it allows me to cut without leaving any lines in it. There will be no crazy steps in it. So here, I just go through. Sometimes you want to go once, twice, 3 times. Do it as many times as you need, and so that you're happy with it. So here I can see, okay, it's getting there. If you want to hold it in and just lightly do it by hand like this, when it's already on the face, you can do that as well. I like to elevate it though, because this is sort of how the layers were cut so that it falls softer. You know, I think sometimes we get in a mode where we're like, oh, well, I did it twice already, that should be enough. But it's really not. Just keep going until you're happy with that. That's what I do. And now we're getting there. See, all that softness there, it really gives you that extra detail, you know? Okay, so as you can see here, I just added some face framing to blend into the corner of the curtain bang. So as you can see, it creates a lot more movement, so there's some flow here instead of just curtain bang and then long. So that way, this sort of is very on the shag side. Now I'll go to this side and show you too, but I wanted to add in that maybe a little extra fringe if a client wants that. So what I do is I come from the side here and I look at where I want that, maybe right at the bridge, right at the eyebrow. So I'm gonna lift up 90 degrees forward and I'm just gonna cut bluntly, okay? So there we go, let that drop. And by doing that, you've already created a soft line. Now there may be a little bump of weight there. Don't worry about that, that's fine, because this is all gonna move over. Maybe it jumps up. Then from there, you can take your regular shears or texture shears or razor, however you like, and then re-elevate it, and then texture that top. And I just sort of round upwards as well, and let that fall, and then it's much softer. Then also you can hold here, and I like to just channel cut like this. This helps break it up. So now we have a little bit of that fringiness in there. Then from there, you can also bring it into the corners or leave it disconnected. That's the beauty of this. You can do whatever you like, and of course, adjust the length how you wish. Sometimes I like to do this move right here, though. I'll do it on this side, just camera-wise. So I'll pull it up here, and then you see where it's been slightly disconnected. I know my corner and my length's there, and I just do that carving method again. Carve that out. Very softly, let it drop, and now it's slightly more blended. So these are all different ways you can go about it. And then one more thing, you can see a lot more movement here, not on this side because this side is all just one length now. So what I'm going to do is blend that in. So I'll show you from the side here. And this is where I'm going to go carving, and I'm going to turn my wrist the opposite way. This is where I will add a little bit of over direction. So here's the corner. Here's the point A, point B. I gather right about at the ear. Have some good tension on your left hand here, and now over the wrist like this, and then here, find that friction point and carve out slowly until you reach that point B. And it's very important not to cut out point B because then you're gonna have a shorter length there. So there, double check here. Usually I'll do it on wet hair, but you can do it on dry too as well. You just gotta have some sharp shears there. And then there we go. We have a much more blended effect with the texture.